you seen 10 Cloverfield Lane?
I have, yep.
Yeah. An amazing film. What do you think?
It's quite a good film. Goodman is great, but it's got nothing to do with Cloverfield.
Yes.
It's just...
J.J. Abrams said it was like a spiritual sequel to Cloverfield. Because for years, people have been chasing him and asking him, when are you making Cloverfield 2? When are you making Cloverfield 2?
Well, I thought it was the other one.
Yeah. Dan Trachtenberg made...
Director, yeah.
Yeah, this was like a debut film for him.
First feature film.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very good film. I thought it was really suspenseful. It's very much like Room, the film that's been going around. Yeah. The abduction.
That's a great comparison. It is very much like Room, but it's a sci-fi. That's a good comparison. 10 Cloverfield Lane is a very tense suspense thriller that is set primarily in pretty much a basement, like a bunker.
It's written from a script called The Cellar.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's Goodman's film. John Goodman is so good as the abductor, but I just don't see the connection.
It was inevitable the second one was going to come out. And Matt Reeves...
That was a while ago, the first one.
2008, I think.
Yeah, long time.
It's been quite a while.
They thought it was Super 8, didn't they?
Well, exactly. Yeah. When Super 8 came out, and because J.J. Abrams produced Cloverfield, a lot of people were thinking, oh, this is going to be the sequel or the prequel to Cloverfield, and how... revolving around how the monster was introduced to the population. But no, it wasn't. Super 8 was produced by Spielberg, and it was like a mixture between E.T. and I suppose there is monster film in there. I mean, it felt a lot like that Korean movie, The Host.
Oh, that was so good. That was a comedy. It was
a great film. So
The Host.
It felt like that, didn't it? And then there was an American remake as well.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But Cloverfield, it's just got nothing. It was only a $12 million budget.
Coming
it's
back
a throwaway.
To that, what did I want to say? Matt Reeves actually said that...
the director of the first one.
The director of the first one, who was going to be the director of the second one, before he pulled out. A lot of them were just so busy and they couldn't get together to discuss the second film.
Coordinate people.
But Matt Reeves, in a lot of interviews, said that if he was to make another Cloverfield, he doesn't want to make it like another, lost footage film where someone's filmed something like in the first one and it's lost footage.
I did not miss the found footage thing, the shaky cam. Found footage to me is a cheap excuse for cheap filmmaking.
You don't like that horror subgenre?
No. It's not the horror subgenre. I mean, the style of filmmaking. It's made from a video or from a phone.
Yeah, to make it look like it really happened.
To me, it's cheap filmmaking. You got the shaky cam and all that, and then the grainy look.
What did you think of Blair Witch Project?
Hated it.
You hated the film?
It's a found footage, and he goes, what is all the excitement about that?
God, man, I couldn't sleep for a week after that film came out.
It just bored me. Less. I'm not talking about the suspense element. That's quite good. The story is quite good. Yeah. The documentary feel is quite good. But I'm talking about the visual impact of cheap filmmaking and using the shaky cam and the grainy look, and also the camera sitting down on the side looking at things.
That's when
a static
it's fallen down.
I mean, it just
but don't you think that the shakiness and the realism adds to the tense?
It can add, but not when everything is like that, like in the original Cloverfield. But I mean, it was good. Abrams' content on this one, his input was incredible because they had a similar, captive people in the basement in his series Lost. Just followed a similar plot element there. So his influence was there. He didn't direct it, but he was a producer, I think. So he was pretty strong. But as I said, this is just not a Cloverfield film to me. It was a very good film about these captive kids and Goodman. Is he a savior? Or is he the bad guy? Is he going to do these people harm, these kids?
Well, I was telling you about Matt Reeves. When people were asking him in interviews, if you were to make another one, what would it be like? He said, and he was actually fascinated by the notion that, do you remember in Cloverfield, in the first movie, they're on the Brooklyn Bridge, and the cameraman's looking around, and he sees another cameraman filming his own footage? Yeah. He was fascinated by the notion that if there was a Cloverfield sequel, it would just be somebody else's video. Because if someone is filming footage of what's happening in the city, then there would be other people filming footage elsewhere in another city, in another country town, of the same thing, of an invasion, of monsters running around. So he liked the idea of Cloverfield, the different places on the same day.
The same day, yeah.
Happening somewhere else.
Okay.
And that's what happens in 10 Cloverfield Lane. Even though it's a spiritual sequel and it's got nothing to do in the fictional universe of Cloverfield, it's kind of like what would have happened if, from someone else's perspective, someone else's experience in another location had something like a military experiment gone wrong or an alien invasion, which this film seems to be a fusion of.
Well, it shows very little of what would happen. It shows a lot about these three people in the cellar, in the bunker.
Yeah,
that was the whole film. That was very good.
It's brilliant.
But when the aliens come in at the end, you know, it was just very little. It was like it was tacked on. It just had nothing to do with.
And like Room, at least half of the film, no, even more. I think like 75% of the movie takes place in John Goodman's
in the bunker. Yeah, exactly.
Underneath the house. And he's got two guests.
More than that. It was the whole thing. It was just a tack on it. Originally, it was called a cellar. I think it looked very much to me like, oh, they found this thing with good story. It's fantastic. Why don't we just tack on a bit to give it a bit of context and sell a bit because we put the Cloverfield name on it and Abrams.
Tell me, what do you think, while you were watching the movie and before the girl found out what was actually, what was happening outside of the house was really true? Do you remember for the first half of the film, she didn't trust John Goodman at all?
Well, fair enough.
It wasn't until she attempted to escape and realized that one of the survivors outside was trying to get in. That's when it was confirmed that everything John Goodman was saying was true, that there was something going on.
That could have been a setup, that woman clawing the door. You know.
Why would she be part of some setup, though?
Well, this was part of the scam, if it was the case. John Goodman created in order to make them feel that they really were trapped. And they had to sit there.
But as is confirmed later on, it's not a scam.
Well, at the time.
At the time.
It looked like
But while I was watching, until her attempted escape, I was thinking to myself, how is it possible that her and her male counterpart prisoner were not able to overpower John Goodman in their abduction?
Well, that's another thing, That would have been. There's two of them. They're young people. I didn't think that, but now that you point that out, it's pretty cool. I mean, these sort of things are a little bit of
I mean, if he saved their lives, right,
really
and he's trying to be nice to them and keep them in the house,
keep
them alive.
He wants to create a family for himself. He's a lonely guy.
But if he wants to do that, why did he keep them in that prison cell for at least half the film?
Well, because he had to force them together because he was missing his daughter. Remember, it was his like their family thing. It
shared a lot of similarities with classics like War of the Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Well, only in the fact that there was an alien connection there in the invasion of the world. I think the War of the Worlds followed that. And there were two versions of that too. It's interesting to look at both of them. So I really like the original one. It was.
Oh, the 1953 version by George Powell.
It was quite good.
George Powell was synonymous with creating some of the greatest science fiction movies from the 50s and 60s. I mean, did he do When Worlds Collide?
I don't know.
She sent George Powell to his bride. I'm gonna get you some terrible thrills like a science fiction. Rocky Horror Picture Show. George Powell was in that song.
Yeah, it was good. But I really liked the original one. It had a sense of foreboding, it was just so simple in that fully saturated Technicolor. Actually, did you know, I just found this out the other day, those machines they used in that original 1953, fantastic futuristic looking machines, because the original War of the Worlds, they were tripods in the book, the letter.
Yes.
But in this one, they were flying
Spielberg brought it back, the tripod idea, in the remake of
But the original, they were flying machines, and they were suspended by wires, and they couldn't see them because the three-stage. No. The three-stage Technicolor they used saturated it so much that it blurred out the wires. You couldn't see them. However, in future reproductions of the film, much higher technical resolution and different techniques.
Brought it out again.
Brought back the wires.
But now you can digitally remove a lot of things as well.
They did it. But you can see them, which you can.
But apparently they wanted to make tripods. They wanted to make the tripods and to have legs, but they didn't have the technology to make them.
George Powell didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But later on, of course, they had to do it.
Obviously.
It was amazing to see Gene Barry and Ann Robinson, the two leads in the original one. They were actually in.
Yeah.
Remember they saw them? They played the grandparents.
And
Great cameo.
Ann Robinson was in the TV series that was a sequel, the 1988 TV series, which was a direct sequel to the original War of the Worlds from 1953.
Well, it was more of a series for TV.
Yeah. She reprised her role.
I remember that too.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that was made, 30 years later? more 35 years later.
And they were in the new one. And I have issues with the new one, the Spielberg one, with War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. I mean, Tom Cruise, he's so busy trying to be Mr. Cool the whole time. But it was more of an action adventure, and it was sort of an escape thing from the whole thing. Whereas the first one had much more intrigue going to it. It was a different time. Different techniques all the time.
Because they didn't have as much technology in those days, they had to focus more on the story. But I mean, they're both based on the H.G. Wells classic. Yeah. And H.G. Wells is considered the father, the grandfather of the science fiction genre. He wrote The Time Machine and The Island of Dr. Moreau. I think he might have enjoyed the 1953 movie because it was... Oh, thanks. I think he enjoyed the 1953 version because he accepted the fact that it was...
He wouldn't have seen the new one.
Of course. But I mean, I think he enjoyed the 1953 version because he understood that if it was going to be made, it needed to be updated for the modern era.
It would,
What I loved about Spielberg's version is that he paid respect to that old film
the proper tripods, because he had the technology to do it.
Well, he had the tripods, but he also created a new subplot by insinuating those machines were planted there millions of years ago by that far superior civilization.
Good special effects.
And then they waited until humans were ripe enough to come and invade because those aliens needed us as a food source. They needed the blood to sustain their life. But what they couldn't foresee is that the bacteria that keeps us alive, the bacteria that we have become over hundreds of thousands of years accustomed to, kills them.
Speaking of which, how's the alien bacteria in your eye holding up? Are you going to make it to the end of this discussion, or are we going to have to call
I feel like Sigourney Weaver in Resurrection.
That was a good one.
I'm half machine, half alien.
But it's good to see Tim Robbins too in the remake. He's such a good actor, you know.
Yeah.
And he was digging a tunnel, just like he did in Shawshank Redemption. It's a very, very interesting thing there to try and escape. And in that scene, I thought that was a key pivotal scene in both movies, where they're inside the house and this sneaky camera comes in from the alien looking to try and find them, and it goes to the various things. I thought it was very well done. Oh,
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
Delicious.
We got a few drinks coming too. What did you have?
Dr. Pepper and sarsaparilla.
And a sarsaparilla,
Yeah, of course, I'll fix that one.
Thanks very much. Yum.
Yeah.
But there was so many things in there. Again, I say, you know, I'm not a real Tom Cruise fan in this one. He was just the action adventure thing in the other one. But as you say, it was pretty well true to the original one because he had the technology to do it. But when the machines came up from underground after being there for thousands of years,
so clever.
That was well done. The special effects was excellent.
For at least half the film, I thought, why the hell would they invade our Earth millions of years ago with machines and not invade it then and there? Why did they wait for so long? And then the question was answered. They needed blood to sustain their life.
Human blood.
Human blood. They're almost like vampiric.
That key scene where it's so suspenseful in the first one, I thought this is really, really good suspense. It's got me on the edge of my seat worrying about where they're going between Gene Barry and Ann Robinson in the house while there's snaking eye coming around. And, thanks very much. Beautiful. Cheers. But in the remake with Tom Cruise, that scene I think is even better, more suspense with Tim Robbins.
And a lot more emphasis was based on Tom Cruise's family. He plays like a dock worker in Brooklyn who lives in New Jersey, and he's separated from his wife, and he sees his children irregularly. And when this invasion occurs, he becomes closer to his children, and they escape into the countryside.
They do. It was an escape adventure.
It was an escape adventure, whereas
the
original 1953 version, it was set around a scientist
Yeah.
who was uncovering the truth himself.
To find out what happened. You know, that was more intriguing to me. And the other thing, you know, Tom Cruise, he drives a Shelby Mustang 350.
It's a family car.
Classic, rare car. You know, he's a crane operator established at the beginning. He's a workman. Now, how is he going to afford a beautiful, rare car like that?
Because he doesn't look after his children, most of the money is his.
And that's the other thing that annoyed me.
When you're divorced, you got more money.
What about his children? You know, in this one, he says Spielberg focuses on the family a lot. So we got Dakota Fanning, very well, but she's a young girl, and that's playing a bit more for sentimental fact and get a bit more of the young girls a bit more vulnerable. And I thought, oh, look, the typical sullen teenage son, you know, who won't talk and won't say anything. It's such a caricature, that one, I thought. And of course, what happens later.
Did you notice also that in the original film, there was a lot of the viewpoint was from the military perspective and showing how the military was trying to work out how to defeat the aliens, whereas you only get glimpses of the military in Spielberg's version to the point where you don't even see the battles fought between the military. You only see implications. You only see them in the distance, driving past Tom Cruise and his family, firing rockets, but you don't see them firing at the aliens. You know?
You said it.
Yeah.
You said it. Spielberg focuses on the family. Spielberg focuses on Cruise saving the world and jumping around and looking very concerned.
Dakota Fanning is amazing in the film, in Spielberg's version. She's such a mature actress. In the film, she's what, 12 years old? 13 years old?
Yeah, she's very good.
Just 3 years before War of the Worlds came out, she was in another Steven Spielberg production, the TV series called Taken.
Yeah.
Do you remember? It was another alien abduction.
She was quite young then.
She's very young. She's a little child there. But every movie she's in, Man on Fire and I Am Sam, she's so convincing and so incredibly talented. And now she's disappeared off the face of the earth. Where is she?
Oh, she's still there.
Is she?
Yeah,
in what movies has she been in recently?
Well, her daughter, her sister Elle's been in a many things, quite good as well. But you know, the original one, it won 2 Oscars for effects and special effects. Is fantastic. 75% of the whole budget, it's only $12 million, was on the special effects.
12 million back then. No,
back
sorry.
Then, yeah.
2 million. It cost $2 million to make in 1953, which adjusted for inflation is about 15 million.
About 12, yeah. It was incredible. And the new one was only nominated for, I think, 3 Oscars. It didn't win any because it's a bit heavier field.
Yeah. Another thing I found quite interesting, the original 1953 movie talked about how the aliens came from Mars, the closest planet to us, which in my opinion is not really intriguing because it's the closest planet to us. If these aliens were so sophisticated, so much more advanced than us, why didn't they invade us a lot earlier? In Spielberg's version, the aliens come from far, far away, way outside of our solar system. In another star system, and they've been watching us for millions of years.
It's part of the script.
Yeah.
It's part of the script. And in the original one, they showed some of the other planets weren't even accurate. I mean, the waterfalls and the molten lava of Saturn is just not accurate at all. But it looks good visually. It's just a script. You know, they could come from anywhere. You can't pick where your aliens come from.
I love the narration in both the original and the remake. Morgan Freeman does the commentary in the new one.
It's clearly Morgan Freeman. Is he credited for that? I didn't notice.
I don't know if he was, but he's got the most soothing, fatherly,
it's the voice of God.
Voice.
Hello.
Yeah. But who did the one in the 1953? It was Cedric...
Sir Cedric Hardwicke.
Hardwicke, yeah. Was he famous?
Oh, yeah. He was a good, very, very well-known stage actor. I mean, he was knighted for that and also did several films. And
he was knighted, really?
Quite a good... Yeah, Sir Cedric Hardwicke, yeah.
I remember reading that he was in the 10 Commandments and in a few other big budget films, but another thing I love about the original are the color matte paintings that were used to tell a story. There's like a newsreel showing how the world was at war, World War I, World War II, how the world, humans were just destroying each other left, right, and center, and how our technology, because of the war, was advancing.
The opening segments, was following
and then
with the narration.
It cuts to space. And Cedric Hardwicke explains how this alien race from Mars has been watching us, and how they could not inhabit any other planet because no other planet has a suitable atmosphere to sustain life. And it shows these beautiful matte paintings by a very famous painter named Chesley Bonestall, who was synonymous with drawing and illustrating science fiction pictures for novels and textbooks, and was synonymous with the science fiction genre. He made the most beautiful illustrations of space and planets and exploration. And in this, while Hardwick was narrating what these Martians were doing before the invasion.
And the opening segment.
Yeah.
There were his
graphics. It's incredible. I
like
love those beautiful pictures, yeah. It really gets it gets you in the mood. It really gets you in the mood. I'm sure he's done a lot of backdrops for some of the most famous science fiction films as well. Like When Worlds Collide, do you remember that one? When a man finds himself on the other planet, you see that huge backdrop of the extraterrestrial planet he's on.
That's pretty amazing. But Cecil B. DeMille was attached early on, and he sort of passed it on to George Powell and went from there.
Well, George Powell made a career out of making science fiction.
Yeah. He did well.
Well, George Powell didn't actually make it. He was the producer. It was actually, what's his name?
Brian
Haskin.
Yeah.
What did Byron Haskin make?
I don't know what else he did, but he had a pretty heavy hand, George Powell, as a producer, doing a lot of things, so it's pretty well his film.
You know, it was such a turn for Spielberg, because Spielberg had made 2 alien movies before, Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T.
Yeah.
This was his first movie where aliens were evil.
Yeah, that's true.
Because in the first 2 films he made, they were kind, they were explorers, they had knowledge to share with humanity. It was us. It was us who wanted to destroy them.
And he still had the family element, was pretty strong. But,
family element in all of his movies.
That's what
in all of them.
And how about the music on anything? I thought John Williams' score in the new one, he did the same 2-note thing he did in Jaws. You remember? Da-dum.
Oh, when the danger was approaching.
In this one, he did the same 2-note thing when the aliens came in. And the other thing, you remember that big sound of the call, the big, almost like a horn-like call that the tripods made when they first hit him? Was it Australian didgeridoo?
No way.
It was, with digital effects. Incredible. Wow. They say, go Aussies.
Oh, speaking of that, you know the 1953 War of the Worlds?
Yeah.
You know how they made the laser shooting sounds like pew, pew? They did it by recording an electric guitar.
Backwards.
Right? Not only that, the laser beam, the green laser beam was created by...
There's a welder on the...
It was a hammer hitting a very strong cable where it was going...
The reverberation.
Yeah. And that was causing the...
And that was backwards, I think.
Yeah.
To get the effect.
They did a lot of playing around and corrupting the sound and everything, but it's amazing. You read some of the ideas these sound engineers come up with to create these foreign alien sounds. It's incredible.
Back then, it was so difficult. They didn't have the digital effects unit and everything.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you know, in the original 1953 one, you saw the snake-like thing going around, and it maybe was pointing down, and yet the death ray would go straight forward, which was a blowtorch on welding. Welding wire, which would create the sparks because it was flammable, and it going straight out. Well, even though it was pointing down, it was just phenomenal. Which amazing the effects. That's why I won 2 Oscars.
Even Spielberg's one was nominated for quite a few.
No
Oscars.
miniatures.
Yeah.
It was nominated, but didn't win.
Yeah, it didn't win anything. Although it was nominated for 6 Saturn Awards, and it won for Dakota Fanning.
Okay.
She won a Saturn Award for Best Young Talent.
Yeah, she was good.
She's incredible, man.
What she was about 12 when that was done? Or less?
Something like that.
And that protected.
I love the design of the aliens as well. You actually get to see them.
More of them than the original. They're only fleetingly in the house a little bit, and there was more of them.
Those are one of
the
few scenes that both films share, is how they're stuck in the house and the aliens come into the house. and you see them.
There's only one in the original one.
In the original one,
and they had two, or three or four.
Yeah.
And the wheel too. How about the wheel? These advanced aliens.
Yeah.
They don't know anything about the wheel. What is this spinning thing around with?
They're
the thing
so
with the
advanced. It's kind of like with us
Different
today. You show a young person an old computer, they're going to be like, "What the hell is this?"
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They don't know because it's too primitive for them.
And they got technologies that we don't know.
And I love how it also shows that because they're so advanced, the aliens themselves are weak because they're so used to using technology, they're not strong like we are.
Yeah.
They're so reliant on their technology that they're physically weak.
We're getting that way now. Technology's taken over.
Like that movie Idiocracy by Mike Judge.
Yeah, yeah.
We're getting so stupefied by our technology.
Go